The story opens in 1876 at the grand opening of the Brooklyn Bridge. Duke Leopold is there, sketching the bridge, when he notices a strange man named Stuart using a small camera. Curious, Leopold follows him, but Stuart runs away. Back at his home, Leopold is scolded by his uncle. The uncle tells him that instead of inventing and drawing things, he should be focused on marriage. Leopold argues that the age of kings is fading, and the new royalty are inventors and builders. His uncle disagrees, even slaps him, and insists he must find a rich bride. Later that night at a party, Leopold dances with several women, including Miss Tree, but his attention is quickly caught again. Stuart is sneaking around, secretly taking pictures of Leopold's sketchbook. Leopold confronts him, but Stuart bolts. Leopold chases him out into the rain and then onto the unfinished bridge. The two climb dangerously high. Stuart nearly slips, but Leopold grabs him. Stuart begs him to let go, saying everything is fine, but both of them fall through a mysterious white mist. The scene shifts to modern-day New York. Kate, a sharp and practical woman, is at a test screening of a romance movie. She criticizes the film, saying the heroine isn't likable, which sparks an argument with the director. Kate works in market research. She gathers the opinions of everyday people about movies. This sometimes annoys filmmakers. On the way home, we learn Kate used to date Stuart, but broke up with him because he often lived in his own world and ignored reality. At her apartment, the elevator's broken and she has to climb out. She hears noises upstairs and discovers Stuart in his place. To her shock, Leopold is lying unconscious on Stuart's couch. Kate angrily calls Stuart, demanding he return something of hers. He brushes her off and looks at an old family book about the royal family. There he finds proof. Leopold is his great-great-grandfather, and history says he invented the elevator. Kate calls again, and Stuart explains that he found a time portal. It sent him back to 1876, where he followed Leopold around New York. He has now accidentally brought Leopold back to the present. Kate doesn't believe him, thinking it's just another one of his fantasies. Stuart tells her this disbelief is exactly why their relationship failed. The next morning, Leopold wakes up to strange, loud noises all around him. Startled, he demands to know where he is. Stuart tries to calm him and explains the truth. Leopold is no longer in his own time. He is now in modern-day New York. Their arguing is so loud that Kate hears them from below and comes upstairs to check. But Stuart quickly pushes her out, not wanting her to get too involved. Stuart warns Leopold not to wander around the city because it could be dangerous. He explains that the time portal will open again on Monday, and that is when he will send Leopold back. While talking, Stuart has to take his dog outside, leaving Leopold behind to read through his notes and discoveries about the time portal. But disaster strikes. When Stuart tries to use the elevator, it malfunctions. He falls down the shaft and is rushed to the hospital. Meanwhile, Kate finds the dog alone in the hallway. Since Stuart is gone, she asks Leopold to take the dog out for a walk. Outside, Leopold is amazed by everything: the tall buildings, the busy streets, and strange inventions. He stares in awe at a giant television screen where the news is reporting citywide problems with elevators. At work, Kate meets with her assistant Darcy, who gives her the schedule. She's surprised to see her boss, JJ, has returned and quickly realizes he may be considering her for a big promotion. Senior Vice President Leopold, still exploring, makes his way to the Brooklyn Bridge. He is stunned to see it fully completed and still standing strong in the present day. When he returns to the apartment, he finds paramedics carrying Stuart into an ambulance. Before being taken away, Stuart begs Leopold to stay inside the apartment and later calls him from the hospital to repeat the warning, "Do not leave." Soon after, Kate's brother Charlie comes into her apartment. Hearing noise upstairs, he goes up and meets Leopold. Charlie assumes he's just a method actor, someone who stays in character all the time, and is impressed by his dedication. Back at work, Kate tells Darcy she's sure JJ is seriously considering her for the promotion. JJ even invites her to dinner the following night, which makes her hopeful. Suddenly, she gets news that Stuart is in the hospital. When she visits him, Stuart desperately explains that Leopold must return to his own time on Monday. Otherwise, history will change, and Stuart himself, being Leopold's descendant, might disappear. Kate refuses to believe such a wild story, so Stuart gives her his camera and begs her to develop the photos as proof. When Kate returns home, she once again hears noises upstairs. This time, Charlie has invited Leopold over for dinner. At the table, Leopold speaks about Stuart's theories. He explains that Stuart studied temporal portals, gateways through time, and that they can only be crossed by jumping from great heights because you need enough speed to break through. Later that night, Leopold accidentally sets off a smoke alarm while cooking. Kate goes upstairs to check, and during their conversation, she notices something about the way Leopold speaks. It makes her think he would be perfect for an advertising role. She brings him to an audition, and to everyone's surprise, he's brilliant. His manners, charm, and way of speaking impress the entire room. Kate is thrilled when she sees her boss is impressed too. Afterward, Kate tries to grab a cab, but Leopold, being old-fashioned, insists a horse and carriage would be better. Just then, a thief snatches Kate's handbag and runs. She chases him on foot but cannot keep up. Suddenly, Leopold appears on horseback, lifts Kate up, and together they race after the thief. They catch him and retrieve the handbag. The two ride back in the carriage. Kate, still amazed, asks if he truly is a duke, beginning to sense he might be telling the truth. The next evening, Kate goes to dinner with JJ. He notices Leopold's presence and even asks if she is romantically involved with him. JJ brags about his wealth, showing Kate pictures of his grand house and suggesting she should come visit. Meanwhile, Charlie takes Leopold to a bar to meet his friends. Among them is Patrice, the woman Charlie has been quietly admiring. But to Charlie's frustration, Patrice is charmed by Leopold's old-world manners and sophistication. When Leopold gets Patrice's phone number, Charlie feels betrayed, but Leopold gently explains that he only succeeded because he told Patrice the truth, that Charlie cared for her deeply but was too shy to express it. Instead of stealing her attention, Leopold was helping Charlie. Leopold continues to give Charlie advice on how to handle Patrice, but while helping, Charlie starts to notice something. Leopold seems to care about Kate as well. Meanwhile, Kate is at dinner with JJ. She finally brings up the real reason she thought she was invited, that they would discuss her possible promotion. Instead, JJ begins making inappropriate remarks that make her uncomfortable. Just then, Charlie and Leopold arrive at the same restaurant. Things become tense and awkward. JJ tries to show off, but Leopold bluntly calls him out for his arrogance and ignorance. Frustrated, Leopold stands up and leaves. Kate tries to smooth things over by apologizing to JJ, but afterward she goes home quietly and heads straight to her room. That night, Leopold writes a heartfelt letter of apology to Kate, but when morning comes, she leaves without noticing it. Luckily, Charlie sees the letter, chases after her, and secretly slips it into her bag. Later, during a work meeting, Kate finds the note. It is a gentle apology from Leopold and also an invitation to dinner on the rooftop that evening. Reading it softens her feelings toward him. At work, Kate's meeting goes well. Everyone loved Leopold's performance from the commercial audition, and afterwards she apologizes again to JJ for the awkwardness at dinner. He brushes it off and says everything is fine. Meanwhile, Stuart is still in the hospital. A psychologist meets with him and, believing Stuart is delusional and dangerous to himself, prescribes him medication. Charlie, encouraged by Leopold, decides to make another attempt with Patrice. He first buys her flowers, but Leopold disapproves of the selection. With his guidance, Charlie chooses something more thoughtful and meaningful. Later, Leopold even helps him with the words to invite Patrice to dinner. Charlie is grateful and heads off for his big date. That evening, Kate accepts Leopold's invitation and meets him on the rooftop. He has prepared a romantic dinner. She admits to him that she has never been very good with men, but Leopold gently replies that perhaps she has simply never met the right one. He then explains that if he hadn't chased after Stuart back in 1876, he would have been forced that night to pick a bride he didn't love. Instead, fate brought him to her. Moved by his words, Kate dances with him under the stars, and the two share their first kiss. The next morning, Leopold and Charlie talk about how their dates went. Charlie, feeling protective of his sister, asks who Leopold really is and warns him not to hurt her. Leopold simply replies that he is the man who loves her. That day, Leopold surprises Kate by making her breakfast. She is touched by his effort and warmth. Together, they spend the day exploring the city. He even takes her to his uncle's old house, where he shows her a secret drawer that once held his most precious belongings. From it, he pulls out his late mother's ring, a treasure he has kept safe all these years. Later, Kate asks him if he misses his own time. He admits that he does. Not just the air itself, but the slower, more peaceful rhythm of life, much like the simple day they just enjoyed together. After midnight, he prepares to ask Kate a very important question, holding his mother's ring in his hand. But she grows sleepy, so he gently puts her to bed. Before drifting off, she asks him to stay the night. He holds her close, and they fall asleep in each other's arms. The following day, Leopold arrives on set to film the commercial he auditioned for. But when he tastes the product, he finds it disgusting. Refusing to lie, he walks off set. Kate runs after him, but he firmly says he won't promote something he cannot stand behind. Kate admits the product is indeed terrible. Leopold then points out that perhaps this kind of dishonesty is why she feels miserable in her career. The two get into an argument about ethics and compromise. In the end, though, they decide to return and finish the job anyway. On the way home in a taxi, Kate and Leopold admit that they shared a wonderful weekend together, but now it seems to be over. Meanwhile, Stuart is still stuck in the psychiatric ward at the hospital. Desperate to get out, he manages to convince a nurse that he isn't actually insane. She believes him and helps him escape. Once free, Stuart rushes back to his apartment and quickly learns everything that has happened since his accident. He explains to Leopold that time is running out. Leopold must return to his own time. Together, they head toward the Brooklyn Bridge. On the way, Stuart warns him that when he goes back, he will land on the same day he left, meaning he will have to repeat some of the same events. Only this time, he begs him not to follow. Back in the present, Kate is called into JJ's office. He offers her the senior vice president promotion she has been working so hard for. Grateful, she thanks him, but afterward, her thoughts go straight to Leopold. She calls Stuart's apartment and leaves a message for him, saying she got the job, that she's sorry for how things ended, and that she misses him. Stuart, already back at the apartment, listens to her voice message just as Charlie walks in. Charlie asks where Leopold is. Stuart tells him simply, he's gone home. Looking around, Charlie notices Stuart's photographs and is stunned to see proof that Leopold was real. Then he spots something shocking in one of the pictures, something that changes everything. Back in 1876, Leopold has returned to his own time. Preparing for the big party, he grows tired of waiting for destiny to choose and bluntly asks his uncle who the wealthiest woman at the event will be. His uncle replies, Miss Tree. At the same time in the present, Kate is attending the corporate party where her promotion is to be announced. By chance, the party is being held at the very same house that once belonged to Leopold's uncle. Stuart and Charlie rush to the venue and finally find Kate. They hand her the photographs just as she is called to the stage to give her speech. As JJ proudly introduces her, Stuart quietly tells Kate that maybe his whole purpose was never to be her guy, but rather to help her find the right one. Charlie adds urgently that if she truly wants to be with Leopold, she must jump off the Brooklyn Bridge within the next 23 minutes before the portal closes forever. Kate steps onto the stage holding the photographs in her hands. While the audience applauds, she notices something impossible. There in the background of one of the old photos is herself, wearing the exact same dress she is wearing tonight. Realizing the truth, she puts down her prepared remarks and instead speaks from her heart. She tells the crowd something sincere and emotional, then walks off stage, leaving her promotion behind. She hurries into a cab with Stuart and Charlie, trying to make sense of how she could already exist in the photograph. They hit heavy traffic and are forced to run the rest of the way. At the same moment in 1876, Leopold's uncle is preparing to announce his nephew's engagement. At the Brooklyn Bridge, Kate reaches the girders, but freezes, terrified of the leap. Stuart urges her on, saying that if she truly loves Leopold, she has to take the risk. Gathering all her courage, Kate steps out onto the girder, walks across, and finally jumps into the mist below. Moments later, she arrives in the past. Bursting into Leopold's uncle's house, she catches sight of him, just as the announcement is about to be made. At first, no one notices her, until Leopold looks up and sees her standing quietly at the back of the room. His face softens with recognition. Without hesitation, he interrupts his uncle's plans, takes Kate's hand, and proudly announces her as his fiancée. The crowd erupts in applause as the two kiss and then dance together, finally united across time.